Politics. I'm Scott Stearns.
My name's Paul Sickle.
Hey, Paul. Welcome back from spring break.
Yes, indeed. I'm still sort of on it.
Yeah.
After Tuesday's elections.
There's a lot of celebration that's been happening, obviously.
Right. I'm caught in the midst of celebration.
Oh,
so I apologize if I'm a little slurred here. Also have a cold.
Yeah, you are in recovery, literally. So
yeah,
but yeah, obviously this last week there's been a lot of focus on the justice of the Supreme Court race,
and we have something to celebrate.
We do, and it was not even close. And I'm going to be very frank. You and you were
like
going
Rebecca Dallet.
Yeah.
The next Supreme Court justice.
Is that her middle name?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well. The results were, I think, somewhat unexpected. I mean, we went back and forth a little bit on the day of.
Right.
And I remember asking you, like, hey, what are your thoughts? And
I wasn't optimistic.
I remember, I don't mean to call you out, but you thought that it was going to be Skrenik, but with a recount. So harkening back to the Prosser race 10 years ago.
I was 7 years ago, but yeah. But I was hazarding a guess with what I knew, which wasn't much. Yeah. And I'm more than happy to have been wrong.
Well, yeah, when the result is good.
I was quite pleased to be wrong.
For sure. I mean, it was.
No need for a recount. We got it.
It was
by a mile.
AP called it. I think it was at 8:57 Central Time.
Yeah, that's a little slow.
The
only reason they didn't.
I think
call
Decision
it
Desk. I think called it before that.
Right. The only reason you wouldn't have called it earlier is that Wisconsin has a history of very close results.
Yes.
And occasionally individual precincts within our state.
Yeah.
Don't tell the whole story.
Well, yeah.
Because of
Waukesha.
Right. Well, even when you... Okay, so say you're looking at Menominee Falls Ward 6 or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like typically, 70% Republican, 30% Democrat. And you get where the Democratic candidate gets 40%. Well, does that mean the Democrat's going to win statewide? Well, usually, yes. But then you have a nonpartisan race.
Right.
Obviously, we're thinking Dallet wins is a good thing for us on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
Rebecca Dallet, she deserves to win. She ran a great campaign.
Well,
we're really happy about it.
I mean, she narrows the court conservative versus liberal majority to 4-3.
Exactly. And Skrenik won and kept the Republican majority at 5-2.
It'd be a bad omen. For what was coming.
Worse yet, had he shown up at the big Republican fundraising dinner the next Saturday, we'd be freaking the fuck out.
Well, of course, we'd be calling him out for it.
So, mindful of that, Rebecca Dallet did not show up at the Democratic.
I think that was probably the right decision.
Right. I was kind of hoping she would, honestly, because it would have been so much fun, and I would have cheered her really loudly.
Well,
but she made the right choice.
But by the same token, I mean, Tony Evers won by a landslide for state superintendent of education a year ago. I mean, and that's a nonpartisan position as well. Did he have a speaking spot tonight? Well, probably not, because he's running for governor.
Right. He's one of the 20,000 candidates.
Yeah. So the final result, just to bring context around it, was Rebecca Dallet 56%, Michael Skrenik 44%. The raw vote count is 555, 786 for Rebecca Dallet, 445, 66 for Michael Skrenik.
So 555 to 445.
Yeah.
She won by 110,000 votes.
556 rounding up to 441 for Skrenik.
Nice.
So. Yeah, it was an ass whooping. And then
it feels so good.
Added to that, the other big race.
It feels so good. It is really a great thing for Wisconsin.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly.
Well, so this is almost even more interesting to me, is because this is another thing that Walker's been pushing for, is the elimination of the state treasurer. Mm-hmm. So this is a referendum, and this is kind of the last step.
Consolidate the power, get rid of an independent.
They've moved a lot of the functions of the state treasurer here in Wisconsin to the lieutenant governor and other areas.
Right.
And so, and actually, the guy that's currently serving as state treasurer got elected saying he didn't want the job to exist anymore.
Right.
So
it's all small government.
So it doesn't have a whole lot of functions currently. However, despite that, the voters of Wisconsin said,
well, it does actually have some audit powers over the pension system,
right?
Which is,
I'm not saying it's powerless. I'm just saying like they've moved a lot of the day-to-day functions away from it.
There was a lot of money in the pension system, and still is at stake in this decision.
Mm-hmm. Given that all that information and the fact that Scott Walker's been supportive of eliminating the state treasurer as an elected office.
That was a Republican choice. Get rid of it. Vote yes.
The method by which they can eliminate it is 2 consecutive state legislatures have to vote to get rid of it, and then it goes to the voters.
So they've
passed
twice.
it. They've passed it twice. This is the last step to get rid of it.
What did
the voters do? They voted overwhelmingly 61% to 39% no. Do not eliminate the state treasurer.
Numbers?
The raw numbers are no 582,117.
Nice.
Yes, 365, 120. So even more voters voted to keep the state treasurer than voted for Dallet for Supreme Court justice.
Right, even though you
had conservative voters who were like, little uncomfortable with like the amount of power that Scott Walker is trying to consolidate around the executive branch.
Right. And how does that pretend for his reelection?
That's not a good thing. That's gotta say there are some Walker voters who are a little bit skeptical and maybe not motivated to support him this time.
So a preview of the next episode, episode 49.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about which candidates in the Democratic primary.
Yeah.
Which of the 20,000 have a shot.
Right.
I mean, I've talked a lot about it, honestly, but I've given my opinion.
Well,
I like mail-in the most.
We're in April now at this point, so we're starting to really get into it. We've got a few months down the road to the primary.
I think we have it down to 4 or 5, and frankly, let's not talk about it tonight. Let's make people listen.
We'll give it as a teaser. But what we'll say is we did go through all the candidates that are currently announced for governor, and I think Paul and I came down to our final 4 that we think that have a shot.
Pretty close.
And of those,
Scott, I would disagree. I might go with we might have a 5.
We might have a 5, but
a 5th. We might have a 5th. We're narrowing it down for 20,000. That was Malin Mitchell.
I think we know who has the best shot at
Malin
Walker.
said 20,
and we know who the weakest ones are. I think we started the conversation earlier tonight with just eliminating who we think would be the weakest candidate against Walker.
And it really is time to get serious about this because the message I got out of this election is it's ours to lose.
Well, yeah, given what happened this past week. I think that's. I mean, the Walker freak out on Twitter and the hashtag Blue Wave and all that.
Walker called us a bunch of hate-filled people. Or something like
he's trying to paint a picture that is not accurate and
and it looks out of touch. And he got called for it in the Journal Sentinel by Ann Weiss, no less. And
he's basically putting up an SOS sign saying like, "Hey, conservatives. You need to come out and vote and support me. Otherwise, this is all the work we've done is all for naught."
Let's hope it's for naught.
So yeah, we did go through earlier tonight and discuss all the candidates that are currently announced. The fundraising numbers are supposed to come out. I think. Right. I think we think this.
And I think that's how we'll actually agree on our final 4.
Yeah, I think
we should commit to a final 4 for the next episode.
Right now, you think we should actually name the names?
No.
Oh, you think you and me like offline should commit to a final 4? And then
we're saying.
And then we'll assess.
Right now, we're saying next episode, you listener get a final 4 for governor.
Okay, got it. All right, I'm for that.
The rest, the rest of the people who don't listen to us, well, they don't get to.
They don't get to play.
Top 4 candidates for governor aren't. Well, I mean, they can play, but they won't be in the know.
Sure. The fundraising numbers, once those come out, I think will be.
I think it'll
be telling, and I think we've already had Harlow drop out this past week or so.
That's a big mover. I mean, he endorsed Flynn, so that means Flynn's got to be maybe
moving up.
or
But I think the fundraising numbers will tell the tale in terms of where the momentum is shifting to.
Because
I don't foresee that by the time the primary actually happens that we'll have this many candidates, because at some point the money is going to go to whoever is
officially. I think it's 16 candidates.
I think it's right. I think it's 16.
Like 16
announced.
candles. It's 16
people that have filed. But it's it's. I mean, the bottom line is what happened this past week. Obviously, Scott Walker was none too pleased about what took place. I mean, between the Dallet election, the state treasurer referendum, and apparently he endorsed a judge in Waukesha County that lost as well.
Plus, Chris Abele, like our county executive, spent a shit ton of money.
He did.
On these county board races and didn't get a lot of mileage out of it.
He didn't take out the chair.
That's where he spent $500,000 against Theo Lipscomb.
Yeah. Who won?
Yeah, I mean, and I know a lot of progressives who liked Lipscomb's opponent, Casey Shorts.
Yeah, I know some too.
And good for them, because I think Casey Shorts is an excellent guy. But you know what? More power to Theo for winning. I mean, and it's like I kind of was against him too. Like, you want to have this wheel tax.
Mm-hmm.
He was against it because he called it a tax on the poor, and it was.
Right.
It was sort of a principled stance.
They wanted to have like a $60 wheel tax, and Abele agreed to a $30 wheel tax, I think was what it was.
Well, then they tried to jack it up again in the budget.
Right.
It failed in the referendum, and Theo's thought was, it failed in the referendum, so we can't do it. I mean,
right.
And so I really think that it's kind of a good sign for democracy that, like, I was a little agnostic. Had Casey Shorts won, I would have been happy for him.
Sure.
Honestly. But that Theo won against all this opposition,
yeah,
I'm proud of him too. They actually had very principled disagreement, but one side had all of Abele's money.
Well, that's the thing, is that Chris Abele is trying to basically consolidate power and have a bunch of yes men.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and
so he's spending so much money on it.
Yeah. So what else we got going on? We have John Bolton coming in as National Security Advisor. I mean,
so at the local level, we got it all figured out.
Yeah, at the national level, it's all still fucked up. But
fear and fear more.
Yeah. Oh boy. I guess the next big game to play in terms of guessing will be, what country are we going to war against?
Yeah,
John Bolton as National Security Advisor.
Well, we got the steel tariff, so at least it'll be
that'll distract us for a little while.
And I actually still kind of agree with the steel tariffs.
Look at the trade war we're building up with China. What is that going to mean? What is that going to mean for ginseng sales in Wisconsin? I mean,
or sorghum. I had some sorghum on a biscuit in Missouri.
Yeah,
I did. This is no joke. I went down to Memphis, Tennessee, with a group of folks from the area, and then we include some from Chicago, quite a few from Chicago actually, and Milwaukee. And we went down to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination. There were a lot of tear-jerking moments.
I imagine.
Bernice King, Martin Luther King's daughter, gave a speech which literally leveled everybody. From the Mason Temple on the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's mountaintop speech, where he really started talking about how to economically level the field, like how to deal with income inequality in a systematic way, and how to identify it as a racial issue as well, which it was, but also unite poor whites.
Yeah.
Less than 24 hours, a bullet went through his neck at a third-floor balcony in the Lorraine Hotel about 8 blocks from there.
Wow.
It was really powerful being there. And, I went on a march with about 10,000 union sisters and brothers. By the way, he was down there uniting working-class people in honor of the Memphis garbage workers strike. What their goals were the rights as public employees to be allowed to unionize.
Yeah.
And one of those things was to have them be able to support their own union.
Sure.
If they so chose. They open shop, but they wanted to have at least payroll deduction, which they won from that.
Okay.
Scott Walker outlawed that
in
Wisconsin in Act 10. So the gains that Martin Luther King won have already been taken back in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in open shops, but there's an argument to be made. If you don't want to pay your union dues, you shouldn't have to. Fine.
Right.
But should the employer, especially a public employer, be legally prohibited from doing the payroll deduction, even though they can deduct taxes?
That's like the other extreme.
They can deduct United Way funds, all that. And that's one of the things the Memphis garbage workers, because the city of Memphis was bent on making sure those workers had no voice. Mm-hmm. So that was the whole reason they were opposing the payroll deduction.
Yeah.
Because they knew they're low-wage workers, that there's no way you could track them all down and write checks every month to the union to support it.
Yeah.
And actually, the strikes in Homestead, Pennsylvania in the 1800s were about this too.
Yeah.
Payroll deduction is a basic function of union rights. Mm-hmm. And King was fighting for that in Memphis.
It's been chipped away at by first.
It wasn't just chipped away. Walker just took it away from Wisconsin employees.
Right. He did it here, and now it's going national. I mean, they're trying to do this thing at the national level as well.
Absolutely.
And so that's the next step, and that's why if we value these things, we need to take steps to prevent them from happening.
Right. So anyway, it was a powerful experience.
I imagine,
and
that's quite the spring break. A little different than going to Daytona Beach or something.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call it like a service spring break either, right. Because I gained more from it than I gave to it.
Yeah,
I think anybody that was there gained.
That's good stuff.
Dr. King still gives.
He does.
50 years later.
His legacy has not died out.
He does, and his children are carrying on. There were excellent speeches that were part of the thing from. I mean, they weren't live, from President Clinton and President Obama.
Yeah, recorded
really
messages.
Enjoyed it. So yeah. Anyway, all right. Sorry to close this out in such a somber note.
No, I think it was important that you got some feedback on what it was like down there.
I'll post a few photos from the march I was on our Facebook page.
Great.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. So next time around, we should have some more feedback on the governor's race. I think there'll be some numbers around that.
Get to a final 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think we could probably.
Or 6 or 17,000 or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe we can be the kingmakers. We'll see.
Right.
But, all right.
Until then.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Forward.